So in today's video, we're going to be talking about what gear I use, why I use it, how to clean and take apart and maintain the Baitcaster, just general maintenance. And also, once I hit 100 subscribers, I'll be doing a giveaway. We have about $100 worth of brand new 6 cents crankbaits here. I have the depths. I don't have the packages and the names. I got rid of them. I put everything in boxes. But I do have the depths for each bait on the box. So I'll go over the rules and stuff at the end of the video, and in the middle of the video I'm gonna have a word that you need to put in the comments. So we'll start with what gear I like to use. So like I said, I'm a Baitcaster guy. The speed of retrieval I think is very important. So like if I'm using swim baits or something, I'm gonna be swimming slow. Like a big Joshy. I want that to swim slow and just have that subtle flutter action. I'm going to throw it with my Concept Z, and it is a like 6 to 1 or 6.6 to 1 gear ratio. 6.6 to 1, and I prefer that slower retrieve, so I don't have to like force myself to reel real slow to make it move slow. It just will. When I'm throwing jerk baits, like hit sticks, or when I'm throwing lipless too, I like to be able to pick up my slack line really quick when I'm twitching. I like to be able to pull that slack line up really fast. So, because a lot of times you'll have fish will hit on the fall, or they'll hit when you're dead sticking. So, especially saw guy, I'll throw with this reel, and it is a 8.1 to 1, real fast retrieval. Get that line picked up quick. And all my rods are like the 7 foot to 7'3" range. My personal favorite being the Fate V3. I use a medium heavy action, and that's because when a fish hits you, it takes a lot of the work away from it. The rod's stiff enough that when you're throwing something with a treble hook, even, you don't have to work to set that hook. A lot of times they'll hook themselves on that aggressive strike. And yeah, that's my preference. And I can do just about anything, any kind of fishing I want to do with just those two rods. It's important to keep your reel clean with the Baitcaster, especially. If you're fishing in murky water, it's not clear, you're pulling sediment and everything into your reel. You can't avoid it. It's no different than if you're fishing in the ocean. You're going to pull salt into your reel. Even if it looks like there's nothing in the water, you know the salt's in the water. It's going to come in. So sediment does the same thing. We're going to do a tear down and clean on my 13 Inception. Just basic maintenance, nothing real intricate. Just the simple stuff that any of you guys can do at home if you got a crescent wrench and a little screwdriver and some toothpicks and some Q-tips. And of course you'll need some grease. Now I prefer to use Quantum hot sauce. It's my go-to. One of the things I really like about it is it's bright red. If it gets dirty and packed with sediment and contaminants, it'll be black or green or whatever. It won't be red anymore. You'll know you need to pick that grease out with a toothpick and put new grease in it. So first step, tearing down just about any Baitcaster out there, is take off the little set screw that holds the lock holding your nut for your reel handle. And the only reason that's there and you want to make sure you put it back on is, without it, that nut can just walk off while you're fishing. And if it does that, well, your handle's going to fall off and it's going to turn into a bad day really quick. So keep all that stuff together. Next thing you're going to want to do is pull your drag reel off, or drag wheel off. So if you have a clicker like these do, you're going to have all the components underneath it. So what I do is I pull the wheel off, pull the stack of washers and the clicker assembly and everything all off on there in one group. Put it down the table, and then put your drag wheel right over at the direction you need to put it back on, just in case you might forget. Second thing you're going to want to do is pull your tensioner cap off. You're going to need that out of the way. You're going to be able to take the body faceplate off with it on there. Check and see if it's got a bunch of shit in it. If it does, just use one of your Q-tips. Most reels will have an O-ring there to prevent stuff from getting in, but that doesn't stop stuff from getting in alongside the shaft. Now you want to take the body screws off. Just take your side cover off, pull your spool out of there, get it out of the way, and you'll see on this reel there's a screw up inside there. We'll pull this body screw out, then I'll flip her over, get this screw out of there, take that screw out, take this screw out, and then the screw inside where the spool is. Now flip your reel back over, and you'll be able to pull that face off now. So you've got, if your reel has a bearing there, you got your bearing. This has the inner reverse. The inner reverse bearing is right underneath. It's that brass nut on a 13. You got your drive gear and your drag washers and all that good shit. So where your springs are here, this is just that engagement to push that drive gear against your reel gear, your handle gear. When you push that, it pulls this white piece, it pulls that as pinion gear or drive gear, whichever it is, away from this gear that your handle turns so that it's free spooling. So you want to make sure that's properly greased. Get any old grease and stuff that's out in between there. Like I said, it's just basic stuff. It's not a real intricate tear down. This is stuff you can do on your own if you don't have a whole lot of tools or knowledge on doing it. And then I just service this thing so it actually looks pretty all right in here. I'm not going to tear anything down and clean it. But you want to make sure you pack grease in right in between those gears. Just a little bit. Just you could run a bead right along the outside of that big gear. And put a little bit of grease in here where this piece right here with the springs on it, where it moves. It's really all you have to mess with. You could pull this plate off the top of this big gear and wipe off your brake pads. They're underneath here, your discs, or if you need to change your discs, if your brakes are shot on your reel, that's where your brakes are, underneath that plate. I just stick a toothpick down inside this center gear, kind of swath that out and see if there's anything packed in there. So you'll have your spool shaft there, whether it comes out of your reel or not, depends on the type of reel. Wipe all that excess gunk off of there. You do it with paper towel. I just use a Q-tip. It's what I take out with me. You can see all that junk that's on there. It's not just bright red grease. And like I said, I just serviced this thing. Wipe all that stuff out. Some people say use oil, some people say use grease. I use grease on my bearings. Put a little bit of grease on there, just on the end of the shaft. Just a small streak up the shaft. Maybe a little dab of grease here after wiping it off. And we'll carefully place this side plate back on. So everything lines up, it'll seat. Then you can start putting your screws back in. Start reassembly on this side. It's best to go ahead and put your cap on now because you usually can't clear that drag wheel. Get everything lined back up and on there where it needs to go. Then you can go ahead and put your drag wheel or your drag star, whatever you want to call it, back on. And once you get down so far, you're just going to turn that drive gear, so you got to hold that shaft while you get it started. You put your reel handle back on. You'll have a washer on the back side of that reel handle. Make sure you get it back on the back of that reel handle. Put your nut on. And you want to get it so that your keeper lines back up with your screw hole. Now you can go ahead and reinsert your shaft. You got the end of your pinion there where your shaft goes in. You could either put your grease on it with the tip of your spool shaft, or you could stick the nose of your grease tube down in there and put a little grease on it. Push your shaft back down in there. Close her up. Now, one of the most important parts is making sure your worm gear down in there. Making sure that's clean out in there. Usually you just need to rinse it out and put a little bit of grease of your tube on there and work it around. Make sure that shaft that your line guide slides back and forth on is cleaned off. You can put a little bit of oil on that, but it ain't always necessary. And you're pretty much good to go. All right, so take care of your low-profile bait casters. They'll last you a long time. Just simple maintenance like that, keeping them greased, keeping all the scum and everything cleaned out of them. Make sure you stay tuned for when we hit 100 subscribers. I can do a giveaway. Showed you the contents earlier. Here they are again. Rules are simple. Follow me on Instagram. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. I'll pick the word here in a minute and I'll add it in the video when I finish editing. Hit that word in the comments and I will pick your names and put them in a hat, do a video later, depending on how many there are. And we'll pick somebody who'll get that box of new crankbaits. And until next time, we'll see you later.